Ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be a doctor. Played Barbie dolls with my sister. I was the Dr. Barbie doll. Whenever we played outside in the games, I was the one with the Band-Aids fixing everybody up. So when I went to high school and graduated, I went to college. I was the first person in my family to go to college. I was frightened because it was expensive, and I was the first one, and there were 3 other kids in my family. How was I going to do this? So I decided to pick a paraprofessional degree, okay, because I thought about medicine. I thought, oh, I don't think I can really afford that. So I thought I could be a pharmacist because you get a job right after that, and it was easy. All you had to do was mix stuff together. Organic chemistry came. Oh boy, this was really not so much fun anymore because my organic chemistry teacher came up to me and said, Darlene, you are not a chemist. You are a people person. You almost blew up the laboratory here twice. I think we should think about changing careers. At that moment, I came home and I told my mom and dad, I'm going into biology because they don't want me in chemistry. I'm not really good at that. And my family was happy with that. And I went in to pursue the biology degree and then went on to medical school. Medical school was a lot of fun, and I thought, you know what? I really loved this. I loved everything that I was going and starting and reading, but I loved ophthalmology. Wow, you could look into somebody's eye and actually see every disease state that was there. It was like a fascinating doorway. So I started to pursue every elective, every book that I could find in ophthalmology. I was going over, meeting people over the country, doing electives in ophthalmology. And I had my gear, I had my career plan. I was gonna go and be an ophthalmologist. And not only an ophthalmologist, I wanted to be a retinal specialist. Why not? That's the back of the eye. So that's where I was gearing myself towards. So into my internship, my rotating internship, my sister called me. My sister and I are really close. We were born on the same day, 3 years apart. So we think alike, and we do things alike. She said, I have this really funny rash, and I already saw 3 doctors here in town, and nobody can tell me what it is. They think I'm crazy and told me to take some Advil. I said, you know what, you're not crazy. There's something wrong. You better come down here to Philadelphia, where I was doing my internship, and let me have the doctors here look at you. So she came down to Philadelphia, she drove down, had the doctor that I was working with take a look at her. He looked at her just like this and said she had erythema nodosum. We're gonna work her up. My sister had stage 1A Hodgkin's lymphoma. That was missed by 3 doctors who saw her in our little local town. Talk about like a career change. Right then and there, I knew my destiny was not that retinal ophthalmologist. I had to be a family doctor because that's where I was needed, because the doctors there, I couldn't trust them. I needed to help all those people that were misdiagnosed, all those young patients who were being blown off by just a little rash or some other common problem. So I decided to be a general practice doctor because that's where I needed to be. Well, when I finished my internship, there was actually no designated general practice residencies. We kind of had to devise our own, because then the college was called the American College of General Practice and not family practice. So I was able to find all those electives and work with different doctors in Philadelphia, learning lots of things. And then I was able actually to work after I finished my residency in a group. This is great. I'm a group doctor now, okay? I got a salary, wonderful. My husband decided he's going to go for an MBA, a Drexel. This is great. We got our life in front of us. Well, I'm the young doctor. I'm a female. Guess who I saw? Everybody that none of the older physicians in the group wanted to see. So I never saw that continuity. I've never had that family want that I think I need it. So sat down with my husband after he finished his MBA, and I said, we have to move back home. That's where I'm really needed. That's where we gotta go. So he finished. I finished my job. We moved back home. I don't have a job. I'm a doctor. I don't have a job. Nobody's hiring doctors. So I had to look around. I had to scramble. I had to network with whoever I could network with. I became a doc in the box. Now they call it urgent care centers, but back then it was a doc in a box. And it was a job, so it was good. I worked long hours, and I established a lot of wonderful people, met lovely people. As a matter of fact, I had a continuity of care going on there. So much that I decided that I needed to have a family practice. And my husband says, well, let's go for it. I've got an MBA. I could be the office manager. You could run the office. So I became a solo entrepreneur. So we didn't have any money, so we found this building, which was an old bar. I became a bar owner for a whole year. Never sold a liquor drink, though, once. But we helped renovate this building and made my office into this great practice that I have. Saw neonates through geriatrics, and we continued to do so. But I wasn't totally fulfilled yet, because now I have my solo entrepreneurship, I have my office. Now it was time to do a family too. So I needed to expand myself, because as a woman physician, you're also needed to be a mother. And I think I had that instinct that I had to be that way. So as I was in this entrepreneurship, I did not fit in because I was a woman. I was not one of the big boys. So the big boys all hushed me. They did not want me to do things on committees in the hospital. They didn't want me to, be engaged in things that they were doing, because they felt that as a woman, you can't run an office. You have to be part-time and just raise your kids. Well, I proved them wrong. I continued to do full-time, had 2 kids, which grew up in my office. And my office became my daycare. My patients became my extended family. And it was lovely, because my patients would actually help feed the babies, entertain them, play with them. I actually had a patient that went out and bought a box of Frosted Flakes once because my son came in crying that his Frosted Flakes were gone. So it became a situation that it was very fulfilling. So my family was all my patients, and we continued to do that. So extending myself, I do the office, I have a nursing home practice, I go to personal care homes, go to the hospital, I was a hospice director, I was a nursing home personnel person, and I do house calls, which is probably the most fascinating thing that a family doctor can do. Your patients are so appreciative because they love for you to come into their home. I've had many cups of tea and cookies that I probably didn't really need, but I had to be social with my patients. And they love to entertain you, they love to show you their home, and it's nice that you can snoop in their home, and then you can see what their environment is like. So as a family doctor, it's really, really important that you engage in those patients and you take them on. So I found out that although I had a career change early on, I became that specialist. I was that super specialist that I started to be, only in a different occupation. And believe me, every general practitioner, every family doctor, we are super specialists in our own way, because we are there for our patients. We do everything. Thank you.